Today we have Alpha's representative, Irizumi, also known as TJ, who got that nickname when he went to Chicago. Irizumi and I, Sakashita, will be having a conversation. The slides are in English. Alpha has been getting more global inquiries. We're looking to expand our videos globally. We'll be using these slides globally, and you can expect to see more content in English soon. I'll cover key points in Japanese. Kirikaku went from a trading company to the MBA program at the University of Chicago, sponsored by his company, then joined Goldman Sachs, now in his 17th year at Alpha. I have a healthcare background and studied at Columbia University. I now represent Alpha and lead Alpha Academy, offering affordable test prep for TOEFL, IELTS, GMAT, GRE, and English lessons. Kirikaku went from a trading company to the MBA program at the University of Chicago. On a company-sponsored trip, then transitioned to Goldman Sachs, and now he's in his 17th year of running Alpha. I studied at Columbia University's Teachers College after starting my career in healthcare, and now I represent Alpha and also lead Alpha Academy, where we provide test preparation tools for TOEFL, IELTS, GMAT, and GRE, as well as English lessons. We aim to offer these resources to everyone at very affordable prices. We are creating it.
So what is Dalton? It's often said to be a hidden colossal entity among Japanese stocks. And this guy named James Rosenberg originally went to Vietnam to fight in the Vietnam War and then came to Wall Street. They have a very unique backlog, so anyone can create a fund as long as they have a track record. So don't give up, or rather don't think it's impossible. I really encourage you to have the goal of starting your own fund in the future. It would be great to join an MBA program or a fund like Dalton. As I mentioned earlier, the strategic focus is on the Asian-Japanese market, so the main emphasis seems to be on Japanese stocks. So, when it comes to value investing and activism, they embody both. They aim for constructive dialogue, meaning they want to have meaningful conversations. Recently, there are activists who tend to sell quickly, but they focus on long-term holdings for value creation. It's a bit like the situation with Rakuten, where there are talks about Elon Musk potentially buying the Rakuten baseball team. Maybe something like that? They might even be considering selling Fuji TV's shares to Elon Musk. Apparently, they're thinking that far ahead. The main goal is ultimately to hold on to investments and increase their value over time. In terms of team structure, there are many from Ivy investment banking and MBA backgrounds. As for the percentage of investments in Japanese stocks, it's around 70%. They actively manage enhancing Japanese corporate value. So the percentage of investments in Japanese stocks is around 70%, with an average holding period of over 5 years. They also engage in direct management, meaning they are not just passive shareholders, they are active shareholders who voice their opinions. The track record focuses on enhancing Japanese corporate value. The main target method is indeed the enhancement of corporate value, and I think they have been quite successful in that regard. Funds like this are really interesting, aren't they, Emmy? Yes, especially for Japanese people, I think enhancing corporate value is indeed the main target method, and they have been quite successful at it. Funds like this are really interesting, aren't they, Emmy?
For Japanese people, it's rewarding and interesting. Many want to change companies from the outside. It feels rewarding and interesting. Many want to change companies from the outside. It's a perfect fit. Some buy stocks to sell them off, but they remain grounded, engaging with companies to enhance value. If an incident occurs, they act. That's it.
It's a really fitting place, isn't it? There are instances where people quickly buy stocks just to create a buzz and then sell them off, like flipping peppers. But amidst that, they stay grounded as shareholders, engaging in dialogue with the companies to enhance their corporate value. For example, if something like what happened with Fuji TV occurs, they would step in decisively. Yeah, just like Emmy said, if you all are thinking about getting involved with activist funds or something similar, yeah, if you want to do it, I think that's quite ideal.
I think that's the kind of investment approach it is. So, I hope to see more funds like Dalton emerging. Yes, the impact of activist value enhancement has been a topic of discussion lately. It's truly wonderful to reform things in a systematic way, like addressing it at an organizational level.
Well, it really depends on the fund. A lot of people write vaguely in their MBA essays about wanting to go into investment funds, but when you ask them where they want to go or what they want to do, the investment strategies really differ from fund to fund. When you do that, everyone tends to be quite serious, so they come prepared. They read several books on PE funds and activist funds and say, oh, I think this is great, and bring their insights. By doing that kind of research, you can find funds that match your preferences, especially since more and more of these kinds of funds will be emerging in the future. I think there will also be new entrants into the market. Plus, there are a lot of people who are really interested in real estate funds. So the real estate sector is also very hot. Japan is booming, both in terms of stocks and real estate. I think there will be new entrants in the market. Also, there are quite a few people who are really interested in real estate funds, right? So, the real estate sector is really hot too. Japan is incredibly hot right now, both in terms of stocks and real estate. Bonds are the same. The
Real estate is hot too, right? It's clear that investors from all over the world are getting involved. I mean, the CEO of KKR was saying that he wants his employees to learn Japanese, or that he himself is trying to learn Japanese. And then there's Carlyle, which is also making moves in that direction. So there's quite a bit of that going on.
Well, when you go to an MBA program or a graduate school abroad, you really start to see how much Japan is being noticed by global investors and how it's a chance for reform. In other words, until now, Japanese business leaders tend to be self-deprecating. They haven't really been serious about reforming their own companies to make them better. So there's a lot of room for reform, and that's what people think. That's right. Yeah, I think it would be great if we could keep sharing that kind of information more and more, especially with those around us. On the flip side, people from overseas also see Japan as an investment opportunity. Yeah, as we continue to send people to various funds like MBA programs or investment funds, they work as equity analysts for Japanese stocks. They learn about Japanese companies and realize, oh, there are some real opportunities here, and then they dive right in. It's undoubtedly a market that the entire world is paying attention to. And on top of that, there's a lot of potential for meaningful reform. Well, even if something happens like with Fuji TV, everyone has been working hard on platforms like X lately. I really think the pension issue is terrible. But, well, people are starting to raise their voices. Yeah, and politics is the same, you know. In the end, it's all about getting the necessary votes, right? At the end of the day, it's just like that. You can't win unless you become the leading party. After all, for companies, you can't really voice your opinions unless you become a shareholder. So even with that, when shareholders like Dalton, who hold around 6 or 7%, start speaking up, you really hear a lot about it. So by going in that direction, you all can reform Japan. It's an amazing opportunity, and I really think it's interesting. So I really think we can't miss this opportunity, especially for those watching Alpha's videos. I mean, you're really frustrated, right? You're thinking, what is this company? They need to do better, right? So that's why we can really throw our feelings into it from the Dalton side, right? From the fund side, you can't speak unless a shareholder, even though Fuji TV's stock price was going up, it was because people like Hori were buying shares easily. The stock price rose 8% today. That's it. Japanese have great potential, but it's suppressed. If you stand up and say, hey, something's wrong with Japan, Japanese companies need to do better, you must be in a position to make it happen. This is a rare opportunity, so go for it. In 5 years, what will happen? Almost everyone will. So that's what it is. Japanese people have potential, but it's been suppressed. If everyone acknowledges something's wrong with Japan, companies need to improve. This is a rare opportunity, so seize it. In 5 years, many will be driven out, and the good will be taken. Only globally competitive companies will remain. Stock prices may reach 45,000 yen, leaving no room to buy. This is truly and genuinely a once-in-100 years opportunity, so you absolutely and undoubtedly need to go for it. In about 5 years, most definitely, people will. If that happens, all the unnecessary Japanese people will be laid off, and we'll end up with only those globally competitive companies. The stock prices will skyrocket, maybe to 45,000 yen or something, and at that point, there won't be any room left to buy. You'll be thinking, I wish I had acted back then. So, the opportunity is now. This is a chance for reform in Japan. For those involved with Dalton, it must be incredibly exciting. You'll definitely think, I wish I had acted back then. So, the opportunity is now or never. It's a chance for reform in Japan, I bet. It's incredibly exciting for those involved with Dalton. I really hope you go in that direction.
Yes, yes.
So if you're thinking about how to get there, let's talk about the career path. First of all, it's important to attend a finance MBA at top schools like Columbia, NYU, or Yale. From there, you could go into investment banking, M&A, equity analysis, or trading. You'd gain experience on the sell side, and then you could transition to Dalton. Dalton employees often follow this path. Entering without this background is nearly impossible. In the end, class members understand management. The team speaks English. The headquarters is in Los Angeles. Or maybe potentially an equity analyst at a prestigious ascendant hedge fund, or an equity trader on the trading side. And I think that would be interesting. So, I think it would be good to gain experience there, and then transfer to Dalton. Looking at the careers of people currently at Dalton, that's the kind of path they seem to take. Now, can you get in without that kind of background? That's probably almost impossible. In the end, the people in this class understand management, and of course, the management team speaks English. I mean, the headquarters is originally in Los Angeles, as I mentioned. Since the management discussions are in English, you need to be able to discuss things fluently and confidently in English. So if you feel like you can't do that yet, you should work on improving your skills. Well, if you go to an MBA program, you'll be able to get there quickly. And after that, or maybe in asset management or in investment banking, focusing on equity. Do a job related to stocks, such as Japanese stocks. Then, after that, I think the royal road is to join Dalton or a similar investment fund. Yes, I think you should definitely join MBA right away.